Hello, welcome to my channel. This is Eric Owens, Eric Owens Art. We're going to do some carving today. It's been a while since I did one because of shows and things that we've been doing up and down, but now we're ready to get started again. I want to show you something that I did some time ago, and I really enjoyed doing this project. I found a thing in a trinket store, and I brought it home thinking, oh, that'd be a cute item to do. And that ended up, well, it was looking like this. It was a bear, fishing bear. He's got the fish right here. And I thought, that could be so much more than just fishing. It could be a whole lot different. So I came up with the sports bear. Now you may have seen this in the magazine that I had it in Wood Carving Illustrated. Let me get back to the page where it was. Remember what page it was, right there. This is issue number 88 from fall of 2019. So if you get a chance to see that and you want to follow along, it's got instructions in there. The instructions aren't going to be as good as if you're following along here because they're written down. But anyway, I sent them a picture and they said, hey, could you do one of Penn State and Ohio State? So I did it, or at least those colors anyway. So I did it in there, and I still have those two down here in the bucket. I'll show you in a little bit. But the magazine article shows you how to start carving, what to do step by step. Again, fall of 2019, issue number 88. I think you can still get magazines on Wood Carving Illustrated's magazine website. They sell a lot of things on there. And that's what we're going to do. And so it starts out from the pattern like this. So you can see the side pattern right there. Here's the finger up here. Here's the head. Here's the jersey. Here's the shoes. So follow along. Grab a copy of that magazine. Do the pattern. I'll try to get that pattern loaded up on my website before too long. But this is what we're going to do. Let me show you just some of the ones that I've done in addition to that. I've got them all down here in a box. You saw the one that I did here. Green and yellow uniform. Not any particular one. But being from the great state of Tennessee, I had to do a Tennessee one. I really like this guy. Go Vols! There's the one we had in the magazine. They wanted that one to be Ohio State, number 7. I don't know why I chose that number. It just seemed like an easy number to do. Here's the one from Penn State Colors, number 1. Oh, I didn't show you the base on the Tennessee Vols one. They have their end zone has a checkerboard in it, so I've always liked that idea. I had an opportunity to buy some parts of the checkerboard years ago, and I couldn't afford it at the time when they changed their turf out. But I wish I would have still had a piece. But it would just be another thing hanging on the wall that you don't look at very much. I've done these as a hiking bear, like the one there, but that I changed a little bit. I've done ones. I did one for my cousin, and she wanted a hippie bear, like that one. I did one for another cousin. She wanted one for her granddaughter. So I did a princess bear. That was kind of neat. I'd never done a princess dress. The good thing is, being a princess and being a bear, there's a limit to what you have to do in terms of face. People say women's faces are so hard. I agree. I have a hard time with them. I like doing some of them, but it's not the easiest thing to do because you can make this face look normal and it looks all craggy and ragged and whatever. You do that to a woman and everybody goes, why'd you make her ugly? That's just the way the wood came out. Sometimes I don't know. Maybe it's ugly, maybe it ain't. But anyway. All right, we'll start that here in the next segment. I'll go ahead and shut this off and switch cameras. See you in a bit. I usually have a green screen back there, a green mat back here that I like to put things on when I'm carving, but we're going to do that one with this. We're going to do this one out of white because the contrast was a whole lot better than with the green mat behind me. I always like to take my carvings and start by drawing. And so I've done some preliminary drawing here. I'll do it with a marker so you can see it. You might see those marks fairly well. We're going to turn that head a little bit so it's got a little bit of an angle. Here's going to be the end of his hand. I always leave that a little long because I can make it longer. And I can't make it longer, but I can always leave it shorter. We're going to draw the middle of the belly, draw between the shoes. Sometimes on these I've cut them to where the shoes are separated. We'll do it without it. You can do it with it if you want, and we'll see which one works for you and which one works for me. If you're going to cut out the shoes, it takes a while to get down in there and dig around. Always do a center line, and this one, my center line is going to be just a little bit off here. It's going right down the middle of that ear so that we look like we're turned just a bit there. We'll dig out some more out here so you've got room between the face and the arm. I think next time I do these, I'll extend this arm out a little bit more so they have more room in between there. I want to draw the center line, not because I need a center line, but just because it lets me know how much wood I've got on either side of what I'm doing. Come down here, we'll skip that arm, we'll do the feet. We'll come down here, this is going to be the hand, so we've got the face and the hand. Here's the face right here. Going to give him a real fat, kind of bear face. Come up here and have the ears right there. Okay, so we're back to it. We got a little bit of drawing on it, not much. We'll put an arm in here. Draw that arm down here, straight across. Not going to make it too fancy. This is just for you to learn how to do it, and then you'll get to doing what you want to do. We'll have to bring that arm down here and figure out where the elbow is going to be, so when you put your hand up, when you're wearing it, number 1 or the whatever, we're going to figure out where that is. Alright? If you want one of these, I can cut them out and send them to you. It costs you about $25 to $30 depending on where you're at. And that way we can get you one. If you don't have a bandsaw, you don't have a table saw, whatever, to put all this in. I cut it one way. I don't generally cut a lot this way, but I cut a lot this way. So my bandsaw is running this way. I've got a cut out here and a cut out here and a cut out here. Nothing real complicated. And then I have where I'm cut it out here. You can see that's a little more complicated with that cut. And I'm going to cut into here and then cut out here. Normally, like I said, I would cut the legs out, but I've done them with the legs cut. I've done them without the legs cut, and it doesn't really matter what you're going to do. All right, I'm going to write this up here. This is carving the sports bear. Before we're done here, I'll show you, probably talk more than show, all the different ideas, because this guy could be just about anything you want to carve. When you go to carve, always make sure you're wearing your safety gear. I always wear a glove. I rarely ever pick up anything carving related without having a glove in my hand. The tools you use are your choices. Doesn't matter which ones you use. I like to start with a big V tool, either a big V or a soft V. It allows me the opportunity to remove the wood that I don't necessarily want. And I know that's going to be starting right about here. So I'm at the legs, cutting right down the middle of the leg. Foot, rather, not a leg. Let me adjust this camera just a little bit more so we can get... I'm dinking around with lights and trying to see where my light bar should be. Okay, and again, if you've heard me know that I carve a lot, you know that I usually stick it right up here against my belly. This is a little bit harder to do that because I'm at arm's length, and that places a lot of stress on your arm. But go slow, take your time. We're not in a race. Do your thing. I'm going to outline a few things and just start cutting. I may do it in a different way than you do. That's okay. There's nothing wrong with the way you're going to do it, and there's nothing wrong with the way I'm going to do it either. It's just each of us have different strokes. I know a lot of people have shoulder trouble, and so out at this arm's length, when your arms are straight out, it's a little bit harder for them, but that doesn't mean they can't do it. So I did that. I cut out, separated the arm from the body. All of this wood is going away because here's his hand coming over here, and then all of this wood is gone away. So I'm just going to sit here. This is the hogging part, where you get to take off a lot of wood, whatever way you do that. I use my fishtail gouges and my straight blades a lot, but I don't know that I would consider myself primarily a knife carver. I'm a carver. I like carving. I like doing it, and even if I'm doing a commission or something that I don't really want to do, I get into the zen moment of enjoying what I'm carving. That's a hard thing, because a lot of people will tell you that if you're carving commissions, you don't end up getting to carve what you want. And I'm going, well, that may be true to a degree, but you got to look at it like, hey, you're still carving. You're not out there shoveling the ditch or any other high maintenance, high labor work, but you're doing what you want to do. You're carving. So I'm starting to remove that hand. I'll go a little bit deeper, probably not as deep as down here, but I want to go a little bit deeper in terms of what I'm taking off. And then we'll evaluate. Constantly evaluating from step to step, minute to minute, on where you're at and what you're going to do next. You see a lot of carvers that carve round. In other words, they go all the way around the carving. They don't start at one spot and stop there, or get all of that done just to shape one ear and not the other. They'll do all of it sequentially. So get one ear and then do another ear, or get part of one ear, get another part of the ear. I drew that line up there for the back of the ear. This is where the back of the ear is going to be. So we're going to come right up here. Again, start with that big V tool. I like this file. It fits in my hand very well. It's hard metal, and so if you don't know how to sharpen, it's hard to sharpen. But surely wherever you're at, you got somebody that can sharpen it for you and do a good job. And if not, that's what this YouTube thing is all about. It's about teaching you things you don't already know in a way that you don't have to spend a lot of time, effort, money to go somewhere and take a class for that. That's one thing that I really enjoy about YouTube, is the fact that I can teach from the comfort of my room. And I've been asked lately if I do some Zoom classes, and I've done some. The last time I tried to do Zoom classes, it didn't really work out the way I wanted it to. I was hoping we'd build a community, but what I ended up doing is video recording during the day, and then in the evening it would be live. And so I had a lot of people that would watch the recorded video. Not very many would tune in to the live Zoom, because it was just middle of the day for most people in the country. Anyway, that's another discussion for another day. We'll go right across the top of that. Make sure we're giving ourselves plenty of room in case you make a mistake. These ears can break off real easily, so if you'll notice, I'm not going exactly on the line right here. Here's the line, and I'm carving over here. I want to give myself some fudge factor, because this is wood. It doesn't always agree with you. It doesn't always work with you, and you have to realize that's the way it's going to go. Round that head just a little bit. Gives me an idea of what the overall shape is going to look like when I get around to it. So all I'm doing is hitting the back of the head and trying to make those ears stick out there. So that'll give me an idea of how round the head's going to be. So I can always make these ears smaller. I don't have to leave them at that same size. I can always do them smaller, because I've got some pieces up here I'm going to take, because we're looking sideways. This wood right here is going to come off, because that's the cheek up to a certain point. We're going to take off some of that wood for the head, and then we're going to take off a lot of this wood over here, because if we looked at the arm, here's the arm right down the middle. The sleeve is somewhere up here. Maybe the finger will be up there, and this arm is going to come somewhere down here where it's going to be his arm. So that's above his head. So we want to be about right there, the shoulder, somewhere right in there. We can make that longer. We can make it shorter. It's not a big deal. We just want to make sure we're having a little bit of symmetry to it. So we're going to take off a lot of this right here on this side of the face. It'll look weird for a while because we got things hanging out that we don't need. And then here in the back of the head, it's going to come off too. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go straight down that line, going with the grain, so it's an easy thing to carve. So that's going to be his arm. Okay. I want to start coming over here. I want to make a stop cut right at that bottom of the head, that side of the head, separating the head and the arm. On some of these I've cut way back in here and left it open so with the bandsaw that you can get in there. I'm not going to worry about that today. For those of you that are wondering what tools I'm using, this is I've got in my hand, I've got a Drake fishtail gouge, a very valuable tool. I got several fishtail gouges. I like them because they remove a lot of wood. Fits in my hand really well. I don't have big hands. I'm using a file, one of these Swiss made ones. Really heavy metal, but boy, it holds an edge for quite a while. And this is one of my standard go-to knives. I have an OCCT. It's called the Scout knife because it's a smaller version of the handle, inch and a half blade with the straight cut to it. And I like these a whole lot. They're not the ones I always use. I always use the one I reach down and grab, and that's just a personal feeling. I don't necessarily have a favorite knife. Having said that, there are some that I enjoy using, but they're not always the one I turn to simply because, you know, I'm on one side of the toolbox than another, and I don't want to reach too far away, and I want to be able to carve when I'm carving what I want to carve. So rambling on, I'll shut up and let you listen to the sound of that wood coming off there. Come back in here and cut that wood off there. We're working on separating that arm. Okay, start taking some of that off up towards the rest of the face. We've made that one cut in there with the bandsaw already, so we don't have to worry too much about that. That'll help us with our cut, keep us from going too far. This is what we call the hogging process, and right now it's ugly because we've got split wood, we've got cut wood, and we've got cuts that we're going to clean up. Not a big deal. Just realize that that's just part of the process. You know, I used to work as a salesman for DuPont Paint when I lived in Tennessee, and I always was fascinated at seeing a car that these body part people that are working on fixing cars, painting, whatever, to see the car when it was wrecked, and then to see what they did afterwards. There's a lot of ugly business between start and finish on fixing a wrecked car, and you just don't know if it's all going to come together. All the lines going to match, all the pieces going to be lined up in the right spot, right rivets and whatever. But that's part of the process, and this is the same way. It's just part of that process of getting where we need to go. On the back side of that arm, just rounding it just a little bit. On the front side of that, rounding a little bit too. I don't want to take off too much. I want to leave some heft there, but I also need to start shaping it down to where I need to go. So you can start to see them come together there. Take off that part right there. The edge of that face, the left side of his face, gets us kind of where we need to go in terms of setting up to put some detail in there. V-tool, I'm going to outline this arm over here. Come down to that. Feel free to cut outside the lines if you're worried about losing some wood, making it too skinny, whatever you need to do. Just make sure that you're leaving enough for everything to look kind of symmetrical. We are talking about a bear, and I don't think I've ever seen a bear wearing a jersey, football, basketball, baseball, or whatever. But, so we got a little bit of leeway. We can have some fun with it. Start to see where that arm's coming out there. It's got one arm coming down here and one arm up here. And still we got a lot of wood that's going to come off here and a lot more that's going to come off that face. But you work around in whatever format you need to. Do you need to work only on one side? Are you working on the face? What are you wanting to do? That's your choice. That's your choice in making this thing work. Been off for a few months in terms of doing videos and things. I'm chasing a couple of issues with my doctors, and my wife and I do shows the second part of the year. So from May to December we stay pretty busy with one show or another. It's taken us a few years to figure out which shows we want to do. Try to stay away from too many of the craft fairs because I can't compete price-wise with the people who can do their craft quicker than I can do my art here. So when I do one of these bears, if it takes me, 6 hours to do that, this thing is, let me get a measure stick here. This guy is about 6 inches tall. So we're looking 6 inches from the feet up. And then we're looking at about 3 inches wide, maybe right at 3 inches wide. So 6 by 3 by 3. And people always ask, how long does it take you to do that? And I think they're doing that because they're really curious, although some people are trying to gauge whether it's worth the price that I have on it. So if I say it's worth X number of dollars, they say, well, that's this many dollars per hour, and I can get it at Walmart or something like that. I know from my experience that a good price, a good rule of thumb for me to follow is for every inch in height it takes me about 2 hours. So roughly for an hour from here, an hour from there, an hour, it takes me a couple of hours to be able to do a carving. Or at least a couple hours to do an inch. So this guy at 6 inches might take me upwards of 20 hours or 12 hours depending on how many details I'm putting in. Now 12 hours is 12 hours, and the minimum wage here in Idaho is $7.25, $7.50, something like that. So right there I'm close to $100 just for the roughing out. It does not include the tools set up. The bandsaw doesn't include the paint. It doesn't include the cutout. I'm going to move all this chips out of the way. It doesn't include the cutouts. It just includes the time it takes to do that. So when I have a price on there and people want to dicker with you, you know, this is not a country where we do a lot of bartering. It's a country where we, as an artist, I'm putting it out here, not trying to make $1 million. I'm putting it out there saying, that's what it cost me. That's what it took to do that. So that's what I got to stick with. And so I can't let it go for 20 bucks. Not an easy thing to watch a sale walk away, but that's just that's the way it is. Otherwise, you're giving your stuff away and you're not making any money. The goal is to make money here, or at least make a living. So however you do that is up to you. Somewhere right here, I'm going to put a nose. And a bear doesn't have a big nose, although I make them a little bit oversized. Come down and then their jaw separates right there between the upper and the lower mandible. And then I'm going to go back and I'm going to follow that ear back, or that nose back just a little bit, and then I'm going to cut a lot of this out because I want to get that shape. We'll start on that in the next one, but I want to give you a little bit of homework so you're not waiting on me the whole time. Feel free to get to this point. We're at about 25-30 minutes, close to it on this video. So we'll keep carving on them, but I want you to get to that point before you get to the next one. Roll back and forth, follow it along, send me a picture, whatever, email, whatever you got. But we want to get to this point because this is all the heavy stuff. This is all the big stuff that we want to get out of the way. Also do your shoes. What kind of shoes does he want? Are they pointed out like this, like a V? Are they straight like that? You know, you got to decide that. Are they going to be stuck back here where the heels are stuck together and he's kind of feet out like this, or do you want them straight? Your choice. I'm probably going to do a combination of both of them, but we'll pause and we'll put this video together, the first segment of it anyway, and then we'll put it on the YouTube and have another one in another couple of days. I'll see you in the next video. Thanks for coming along. We're carving the sports bear. This is video number 1 by Eric Owens. You can't see that, can you? All right. We'll see you next time.